Hello friends, the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's arrest on allegations of money laundering has reignited a debate about Bharatiya Janata Party's intentions. Is it striding towards establishing a one-party rule in India? Will it abrogate the Constitution of India? This concern stems from the BJP's treatment of opposition figures through arrests, corruption probes, and other tactics that could be perceived as intimidation tactics aimed at silencing dissent. Critics argue that these actions, while carried out through legal channels, may be politically motivated attempts to sideline opposition parties and consolidate power. The opposition parties have voiced their apprehensions, warning of potential democratic backsliding and the erosion of checks and balances. According to many experts, seven countries have either revoked or changed their constitutions in the past, which have the potential to set precedents for the current ruling party of India. However, it is crucial to examine these historical instances critically, as constitutional changes can have far reaching and profound implications for a nation's democratic trajectory. In the aftermath of World War II, several nations underwent significant constitutional changes in pursuit of democratization and reconciliation. Germany adopted the Basic, Basic Law in 1949, effectively replacing the previous West German constitution with a unified one. Similarly, Japan's adoption of the post-war constitution in 1947 established the country as a parliamentary democracy and renounced its right to wage war, marking a decisive break from its militaristic past. The end of apartheid in South Africa led to the adoption of a new democratic constitution in 1996, a monumental step towards dismantling the discriminatory policies of the previous regime and promoting equality and human rights. Constitutional reforms have also played a pivotal role in transitions from authoritarian regimes to democracy. Following the death of dictator Francisco Franco in 1975, Spain transitioned to democracy and adopted a new constitution in 1978, replacing the previous authoritarian regime. The overthrow of Saddam Hussein's regime in Iraq in 2003 paved the way for the drafting and adoption of a new constitution in 2005, aiming to establish a federal parliamentary democracy. Similarly, the Arab Spring uprising in Tunisia in 2011 resulted in the overthrow of President Zine El Abidine Ben Ali and the adoption of a new constitution in 2014, establishing a democratic system with provisions for human rights and the rule of law. However, history also provides cautionary tales of democratic constitutions being abrogated or replaced by authoritarian regimes. Chilean democracy was interrupted by a military coup in 1973 led by General Augusto Pinochet, resulting in the abrogation of the Chilean constitution and the establishment of a military dictatorship. Pakistan's tumultuous history with the democracy has been marred by repeated interventions from the military, notably exemplified by the 1977 coup orchestrated by General Muhammad Zia-ul-Haq. General Zia-ul-Haq's coup not only disrupted the democratic process but also resulted in the constitution's abrogation, plunging the nation into a period of martial law. During his authoritarian rule, Zia-ul-Haq implemented Islamization policies, altering the socio-political landscape of Pakistan significantly and almost permanently. In 1967, Greece experienced a grave setback to its democratic institutions when a faction of military officers executed a coup, effectively suspending the constitution and establishing a military junta termed the regime of colonels. This coup plunged Greece into a period of repressive rule characterized by censorship, political repression, and human rights abuses. The regime of the colonels wielded authoritarian control over the country for 7 years, significantly impacting Greek society and politics. Egypt's democratic aspirations suffered a severe blowback in 2013 when a military coup led by General Abdel Fattah el-Sisi ousted the democratically elected government of President Mohamed Morsi. This coup resulted in the suspension of Egypt's democratic constitution, marking a repression from the progress made during the Arab Spring. General al-Sisi's ascension to power ushered in an era of authoritarianism characterized by crackdowns on dissent, mass arrests, and the suppression of political opposition, effectively dismantling Egypt's nascent democratic institutions. Constitutional changes can be a double edged sword, with the potential to either strengthen or undermine a nation's democratic foundations. While some reforms have aimed to promote democracy, human rights, and the rule of law, others have been used as tools to consolidate authoritarian power and suppress dissent. As such, any proposed constitutional reform must be approached with utmost caution and scrutiny, considering the lessons of the past and the profound implications for a nation's future. Safeguarding democratic principles, upholding the rule of law, and ensuring the protection of fundamental rights should be paramount in any constitutional reform process. To understand the context of this debate, it is essential to examine the BJP's remarkable electoral success and dominance in recent years. The party has won two consecutive general elections in 2014 and 2019, securing a majority of seats in the Lok Sabha. In 2014, the BJP won 282 seats with a 31% vote share, and in 2019 they secured 303 seats with a 37% vote share. The BJP's expansion has not been limited to the central government. They currently govern in several states across India, including major ones like Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and Gujarat, etc. This state level dominance has significantly increased the party's influence and control over a substantial portion of the country's governance. The opposition parties have faced significant challenges in countering the BJP's rise. Several opposition leaders have been arrested, and some have joined the BJP or formed alliances with the ruling party. These defections have further weakened the opposition's ability to present a united front against the BJP's dominance. However, it is crucial to note that defections and party switching are not uncommon in Indian politics and occur across party lines. While the BJP has benefited from these defections, it is part of the broader political landscape and does not indicate a concerted effort towards one party rule. Bharatiya Janata Party or BJP frequently engages in pre-electoral coalitions and alliances to secure majorities in various states. This strategy allows the party to expand its reach and consolidate power by tapping into the support base of regional parties and accommodating diverse interests within the political landscape. A notable example of this strategy can be seen in Maharashtra, where the BJP formed a coalition government with the breakaway factions of Shiv Sena and the Nationalist Congress Party. The BJP's willingness to collaborate with ideologically diverse partners underscores its ambition for remaining in power by navigating the complexities of Indian politics. Of course, the BJP can address regional issues more effectively, which enables it to broaden its support base and maintain its political dominance in states where it may not have a powerful presence on its own. While the BJP has indeed achieved significant success in Indian politics, it is important to recognize that India's democratic system ensures checks and balances that prevent the concentration of power in any single party. The country's political landscape is characterized by its dynamism, with various opposition parties, regional forces, and civil society organizations acting as counterweights to the ruling party's dominance. India's vibrant democracy allows for a healthy exchange of ideas, and facilitates power shifts through regular elections at both the state and national levels. The electoral process enables voters to render their judgment on the performance of political parties and leaders, ensuring accountability and responsiveness to the electorate's needs and aspirations. It is crucial to emphasize that India's democratic framework stands in stark contrast to authoritarian regimes characterized by the suppression of political opposition and dissent. In a true one party authoritarian state, opposition parties are often banned outright, media censorship is stringent, and elections are neither free nor fair. India, however, has not reached these benchmarks of authoritarianism as yet. Despite the BJP's dominance, opposition parties continue to play a vital role in Indian democracy, providing alternative policy visions, holding the government accountable, and serving as a check on executive power. Regional parties, in particular, represent the diverse interests and identities within the country, ensuring that governance responds to the needs of different regions and communities. Civil society organizations, including advocacy groups, NGOs, and grassroots movements, contribute to the democratic process by raising awareness, mobilizing citizens, and advocating for social and political changes. These activities enrich public discourse and foster civic engagement, further strengthening the foundations of democracy in India. This commitment to democratic principles distinguishes India from true authoritarian states and underscores the resilience of its democratic institutions. However, we need to stress that the BJP's recent actions do not have positive implications for Indian democracy. The party's treatment of opposition figures is a heavy handed attempt to sideline dissent and consolidate its power. It sends alarm bells ringing. There are legitimate concerns about possible drastic amendments of the constitution, if not its abrogation. But this would not be easy. To understand the challenges of establishing a one party rule in India, it is essential to examine the arduous process of amending or abrogating the Constitution. The Constitution of India is the supreme law of the land and outlines the framework for governance, including principles of democracy, fundamental rights, and the separation of powers. The process of amending the Indian Constitution is outlined in Article 368. Amendments can be initiated by either house of the parliament, and certain amendments require a special majority, which is two-thirds majority of members present and voting in both houses. Certain amendments may also require ratification by at least half of the state legislatures. Any attempt to amend the constitution to establish a one party rule would require widespread political support, with the ruling party or coalition securing a significant majority in both houses of parliament and potentially influencing state legislatures to support the amendment. Such a drastic change would likely face strong opposition from political parties, civil society groups, and citizens who value India's democratic principles. Public opinion and resistance could influence the political landscape and make it difficult to push through such amendments. India's independent judiciary plays a crucial role in upholding the constitution and can review the constitutionality of amendments. Any attempt to amend the Constitution in a manner that violates its basic structure or fundamental principles could face legal challenges in the courts. India's commitment to democracy and the rule of law is under the international community's scrutiny constantly. Any attempt to undermine democratic principles could face criticism and diplomatic repercussions. This has the potential to impact the country's global standing and relationships. While the concerns about the BJP's actions and potential democratic backsliding are valid, it is essential to recognize the resilience of Indian democracy and the safeguards in place to protect its foundations. The Constitution of India has endured for over 7 decades and has proven resilient in safeguarding democratic values and principles. The country's diverse political landscape, robust institutions, and a vibrant civil society serve as bulwarks against any attempts to undermine the democratic system. India's journey as a democracy has not been without challenges, but its commitment to democratic principles has remained unwavering. The nation's diversity, coupled with a strong tradition of free and fair elections, ensures that power remains in the hands of the people who have the ultimate say in shaping the country's future. The debate surrounding the BJP's actions and the implications for Indian democracy is complex and multifaceted. While legitimate concerns have been raised about the treatment of opposition figures and potential democratic backsliding, it is crucial to approach this issue with nuances and objectivity. India's democratic system, with its checks and balances, remains intact, and the opposition parties, regional forces, and civil society continue to play a vital role in shaping the country's governance. The path to establishing a one party rule in India is arduous, requiring overwhelming political force across all democratic institutions and overcoming significant legal and constitutional hurdles. The resilience of Indian democracy lies in the hands of its citizens who have the power to shape the nation's political future through the ballot box. As the world's largest democracy, India's commitment to democratic principles and the rule of law will continue to be closely watched by the international community. It is essential to remain vigilant and engage in informed discussions while also recognizing the strength of India's democratic traditions and the safeguards in place to protect them. By upholding these values and principles, India can continue to serve as a beacon of democracy and inspire other nations around the world.